Live from the Export Beer Garden studio and brought to you by Export Ultra, the beer for here. This is the Agenda Podcast for Tuesday, the 23rd of July.
The Agenda Podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Good morning, Matt Heath.
Good morning, Manaia Stewart. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. You were just sending a text and you brought up a conversation that's quite near and dear to my heart at the moment.
Yeah, I still pepper my text messages with emojis, even though I feel naff doing it, but I tend to be quite curt in my communications.
Yep.
So I need the emojis to make it aware to the person that I'm not being an asshole.
Yeah, so do I. So what I'll generally do is send a thumbs up at the end to be like, cool, we're both in agreement. This is the end of the conversation here.
Yeah, but that's now considered sarcastic.
It's been brought to my attention by Ella that it's now considered passag, and that's not how I mean it at all.
Yeah.
When I'm sending thumbs ups out to people.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Because the other thing that's happening at the moment is people of a certain age bracket will send a ... in their
G-Lane sends a terrible ... G-Lane's always dotting me, and I feel like he's
passagging the fuck out of it. Yeah.
So it's like, are you coming? ...
Yeah.
You're like, what are the repercussions if I don't come?
I know.
Where am I? Am I supposed to be here and I've messed something up? What's going on? The ... I don't know what are the ... mean?
I don't know. It stresses me to bits when you get a text from him, because it'll just be like, sweet man, have a good weekend, ... And I'm like, what did I do?
Like, are you suggesting I'm an alcoholic?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Now I'm in my head for the next 2 hours.
Like, have a good weekend, ... Are you saying I'm not working hard enough?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
So then what
because that means something else is coming, ... Right?
That's what I understood it as.
Yeah.
But I stumbled across a video on Instagram Reels, because I'm too old for TikTok, and it was explaining the difference there is apparently, when people first started texting, it was expensive to send multiple texts. So to separate ideas, they would put ... So they would be like, I'm talking about this thing, ... Now I'm talking about a different thing, ... So they could send multiple pieces of information in one text. Now that it's so cheap to text, you can just literally put them in separate text to separate the ideas.
And so G-Lane's just filling us all through anxiety. The whole ACC's on tenterhooks because we don't know what we've done to piss off G-Lane because of his ...
Yeah, when he'll just be like, hey, great work this week, ... Have a great weekend, ...
Yeah.
And I'll be like, did I fuck something up at work that I don't know about?
Are you still doing the commentary tonight, ...
Yeah,
Like what?
exactly.
Are you saying that I'm going to go out to getting drunk, or or previously I haven't turned up on time, or what are you saying?
Yeah, or like multiple question marks at the end of a question. That one gets me as well. Like, oh my God, what have I done?
I used to put a lot of exclamation marks in there. I don't know why, but I'd be like, hell yeah.
Again.
Exclamation mark. And I was like, why am I doing that?
Again, to try and soften the blow of
to say that we're having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of nuance in someone's face and tone of their voice when you're talking to them. That's like when one of our podcasts or something goes before some kind of broadcasting standards authority, or like when something on your radio show, and then you see it written down in the paper when the when the complaint is being adjudicated on. It just sounds so terrible written down because they can't hear the cheeky timbre in our voices.
Yeah, and they're like, so did you or did you not say?
It's like, on paper that looks bad.
Well, I didn't say it like that.
Yeah.
There was a wink and a smile.
Did you say, I'm definitely going to kill that guy, no two ways about it? Yeah, but it was with there was a little bit of tartare sauce on it.
There's a little bit of mayo on there that you're taking away from me. Oh, well, get involved on the old voicemail there and let us know what emojis are passag, what aren't.
Yeah.
What's kosher to use anymore.
And I've got to say, that's why the talkback function on the iHeartradio app is so good, and you guys use it so effectively. Well, I'm going to say us because it's been on the agenda for 3 years, on and off. We use so well is because you get the full meaning from the voice.
Yeah, there's no passag emojis.
They go, fuck South Canterbury, that they mean it in a cheeky way.
Yeah. I take it as a term of endearment, but again, like you say, when you see it written down on social media, now everyone from my hometown setting me up like, hey, why is everyone saying fuck South Canterbury now?
Yeah, you're a traitor.
It's not me. I didn't do it. But then the more you protest, the more fuck South Canterbury's you get. But anyway, fire those voicemails through. I had a situation yesterday that I'd like to run past you. A problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah,
and I'd like
owning the narrative is important. I think.
Yes.
Like if whenever I do something humiliating, I want to talk about it because it's like you're giving it away. You know?
You're shining light on it.
Yeah, you're shining light on it. Yeah.
And so I'd like to shine a light on something that happened to me yesterday. Blessed to have the opportunity to go out to Mount Smart Stadium and interview a few of the Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
Marcelo Montoya, Luke Metcalf, Jazz Tevaga. Sat down with these guys, and as soon as Jazz Tevaga sat down, I said, mate, how's the rehab going? And he goes, I'm not in rehab.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, yeah. He was out for like 3 weeks about 3 months ago, and he's played ever since. And he was just like, to die. I was out there with Die as well. And he goes, has this guy done any research for this? And I was just absolutely humiliated. It kept me up all night.
Was that the first
question I asked him?
Opening salvo.
Opening question that I asked him. And the weirdest part about it is that I've commentated all of the games that he played. I know he played them.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I asked him that.
You probably know more about what's going on in sport in New Zealand than nearly anyone. I mean, every day you're doing this podcast, every day you're researching it. You know, you commentate the games.
I've watched every game he's played.
You know it all.
I know where he's from. I know who he's played for.
But you can't backpedal with that. You go, hang on a minute. I do actually know everything.
I know.
Yeah.
And so what I'm chalking it up to is he was a late swap. So we were supposed to interview someone else.
Yeah.
So without warning, we interviewed Marcelo Montoya first. Then they're like, hey, Jazz Tevaga's in because Ali Leatawa was supposed to do it, but he can't.
Yeah.
And I freaked out because I'd done all this prep. And I think if I'm guilty of anything, it was over-prepping. Because I looked down at my piece of paper and my first question was, how's your rehab going? And often
the first question is just a nerve settler for the interviewer.
Yeah.
You're fine once it gets going, but you just don't want to fuck up on the first question. Ironically, it's your prep that has actually really fucked you.
I didn't need to write anything down. I know everything about these players. I don't know why I got so flustered about it. And it couldn't have happened to a better bloke in that he is quite an intimidating man to meet. Jazz Tevaga.
Yeah.
He's got quite a scary aura about him.
Yeah.
And that was the first question I opened with, and I was like, wow.
Well, coincidentally, I humiliated myself today. I was talking on the radio show yesterday about how there's a problem with rugby union in New Zealand. I was watching the rugby with ACC commentator Lee Baker at the Morningside Tavern, and we were just talking about admin and changing the rules and how we can make it better and talking about the problems with the administration of the game. And I was saying to him at the time, there's a real problem with rugby union that everyone's always talking about how they can improve the game rather than just being involved in the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really what you do when you're watching league. You're not really trying to improve the game.
Yeah.
You might be talking about improvement of the team you're supporting, but not the whole administration from the top down.
Yeah. Which we do with rugby
right
union.
through to rule changes that might make it better. But anyway, after quite a few bottles of red, I came up with the idea that rugby would be better without flankers, just get rid of the flankers.
Yeah.
Because what are they doing?
Why flankers?
Because if anything, what is their job? I mean, they're great at putting people on the back, but in a way, they're stopping play. You know, they're coming off and stopping play. That's kind of their job. I'm talking about 6 and 7 here.
Yeah.
And I got a text through from Kieran Read because then I raised it on Monday, and he said that's the shittest idea I've ever heard. and that was quite a confronting text. Shittest idea I've ever heard. And I said, and then so our producers got him on to talk about it today in the show, and he came in hot. And I hit him with, what do you know? What would you know? Tried to defend myself. Then I said, okay, well, what two would you want to get rid of? And he goes, well, we're trying to get rid of anything, but anything, we'll get rid of some of the show ponies, out wide. And I said, okay, well, you need the wings, right? Because they're the excitement machine. So I said, which one of the centres would you get rid of then? And he goes, well, that's fucking stupid, because if you got rid of the first, if you got rid of 12 or 13, then they'd become, whichever one you got rid of, there'd only be one.
Yeah, right.
So it wouldn't matter which one you got rid of.
You've amalgamated them.
Yeah, so I'm coming with this hot take and then immediately humiliating myself with, well, which one of the centres do you want to get rid of? And he's like, what fucking difference would that make which one you got rid of? Because then they would become the only centre.
Yeah.
Your Muppet Show.
Inside or outside, they just become the centre. So
I'm on the back foot with a half thought out, drunken idea of getting rid of flankers. You've got an All Black captain saying that's a stupid idea and coming up with some really good reasons why that's the case, that they are a stupid idea, and then I follow up with an even stupider suggestion,
I think if anything, you were halfway to a great idea there. I agree with you. I think we should bin the flankers.
Yeah.
I think
number 8 can do all that.
100%.
But more gaps.
Yeah,
so many gaps up the guts.
That's the key. More gaps up the guts. I think that we would all agree that scrum resets are boring. I don't think you should push in the scrums, and rucks are too confusing. We should, when you get tackled, you stand up, you play the ball.
Oh yeah, come on. This is the problem. And you start getting rid of lineouts, and could just make the scrum so the ball just comes out, and it's just like holding up the forwards for a little bit.
Why is it 5 points for a try? It should be 4. And a drop goal should only be 1, unless you kick it from 40 metres out. Then it should be 2. I agree.
I definitely think the things I think we've got to get rid of is marks. I think marks are so stupid.
Why?
Why would you want to stop the game and make it easier? If you've got a great positional kick and that puts the fullback, say, in a difficult position, bloody great. That's exciting. Yeah. Also, he has to step round. He has to find something exciting to do. The fact that he can just stop the game and then have a free kick. Why do we have a mark?
Because in rugby league, you kick for the corners so that you can contest it in the air and potentially score a try. You don't do it in rugby union because if your opponent catches it, it's a mark and the play's over.
Yeah.
So it would bring in chip kicks for tries a bit more as well. Why is the 22-metre line at the 22-metre line? Why isn't it 20?
Well, yeah. And another one is, okay, this is another controversial opinion I've got. Get rid of the advantage rule. You're just playing zombie rugby the whole time. There's an advantage and people play. It doesn't mean anything. Whatever the defence do it, they
just blow the penalty.
And intercept whatever amazing thing the defender does. So I think maybe 3, they're talking NFL of a football play, which just means something like football. And then that negates the situation. They were talking about a football play.
How do you mean? So
it's like a couple of steps or...
oh, right.
It's some play. So I'm saying 3 football plays and then the advantage is over. So that could be a pass, it could be a kick, it could be a tackle. 3 football plays and the advantage is over. Otherwise, we're just playing so much football that doesn't count for anything because the attack can just do whatever they want. Because basically, it goes forever until they lose the ball or they score, right? That's what advantage does now. And I know in the rules it says that you have to have an advantage that overcomes the
advantage of the penalty,
right? Which is so vague, and no ref wants to call that, so they just let it go until there's a knock on or there's a cock up and they go back. And that can go for phase after phase after phase. So I say, get rid of the advantage. The other thing is it should be illegal. God, now we start. Now, don't get me started.
Go for it.
There should never be a situation, this pisses me off so much, where a team knocks a ball on, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a scrum, and then we all know that scrums are just basically the art of trying to make it look like the other guy has committed a penalty.
Yeah.
And so someone knocks it on, and then next thing you know, the opposition that gets 3 points, and they were the ones that didn't knock it on.
Yeah.
Because of some penalty that no one knows that someone's just pushed and they're not pushed.
Yeah.
A prop is just pushed and then
pulled on someone's shirt or
felt like he was pushing and then went down, then up and mucked it around. You should never be able to get 3 points, which is so much in a game.
Yeah. It's more than half a try.
When it was you that it was your team that knocked the ball on.
I know. This goes back to one of the half-baked sports ideas I've had, which was the Uno reverse card, which is once a game, when a card is handed out to your team, your captain's allowed to play a reverse card, and it's actually handed back to the other team. So one of your players gets red carded, you go, no, Uno reverse. Or, controversially, the pick-up 5, which is you've now got 6 dudes in the bit. I don't know. But the problem is you could intentionally red card one of your players knowing you've got the Uno reverse card. So not only have you knocked someone out, then you're also double jeopardying them and kicking someone else off their team. And the only retort to that rule was, that exact situation where you could be the one infringing and then get penalised. And that's exactly what's happening at scrums.
Speaking of, 4 points for a try as opposed to 5 points. I don't know if I've told you this, but I was watching a lot of rugby and a lot of league with these 2 American friends of mine.
I know them.
Yeah, you know them. Yep. And then 4 months into us watching games every week together, the guy he actually was a running back. He played as a running back.
Really?
He went to college playing as a running back. So he's deep in the world of NFL. But he goes, okay, I've got to ask, how come sometimes tries are 4 points and sometimes they're 5 points? And you realise at that point he didn't know that there was a difference between league, even though to us it's so clear because we're brought up with it. But for him, he couldn't tell the difference after 3 months of watching the game.
So he'd just been watching rugby in his mind.
Yeah.
Just the entire time, both
rugby,
games are rugby.
They're just rugby. Because you think rugby league, rugby union, so you probably think, sometimes I say, do you want to watch the league?
Yeah.
And sometimes do you want to watch the rugby? That's probably the way I describe it. And so it's amazing. They're very close. If you're, I mean, and that's what's the really interesting thing with the NRL trying to break in America.
Yeah.
You know, with the games in Las Vegas. Then you've also got the All Blacks playing Fiji and San Diego. It's like, but they can't. They don't even know the difference.
No idea.
They've got no idea.
They got no idea. Just quickly on those two people as well. They were in our NFL fantasy league.
Yeah.
They were down in Christchurch. I was down visiting my mum. We were out wandering around the shops, and I saw through the window. I saw these two people. And I was just like, "Oh shit, they're from my fantasy league." And I went to go and say good day to them. All my mum heard was, "Those two people are from my fantasy." And then I walked out of the thing, and so I'm having a yarn to them, and Mum's standing off to the side like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And then we get in the car. She goes, "What just happened?"
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, they're from my fantasy leagues." "Oh, I thought you said they were from your fantasy," and then went and hit them up.
Another hour I spent punishing Lee Baker, or 35 minutes, because he doesn't drink as much as me, was on how rugby union does not equate into fantasy, and that's a real problem for it going forward.
Well, I chewed Shannon Frizzell's ear off about this the other day.
You did? Actually, that was probably, this is a side conversation from me.
Yeah.
We were probably having that conversation. This probably comes from you.
He's thought about it. He's thought about it, and he's got ideas of how it would work. It'd be like rucks clean, first man to the ruck, blah, blah, blah. But you're right. It doesn't. On the one hand, it's like, yes, it would be too confusing. It's too chaotic a game. On the other hand, I play fantasy rugby league, and I don't understand how the points are dished out in that. So, it's a bit hypocritical to be like, how would it work? When I have two fantasy leagues at NRL, I don't know how they work.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing with NFL is it's clear a running back runs a certain amount of distance. A wide receiver catches a certain amount of passes, scores a certain amount of touchdowns, runs with a certain, and a quarterback.
And then the offensive line, the defense is
all one. Yeah.
So maybe you could do that with rugby union. It'd be your forward pack would be all one. But anyway,
all right then.
The long and short of all of that is I absolutely humiliated myself talking to Jazz Tevaga.
But how did you come back?
I made a few more jokes about it.
Yeah.
And then the very next person that we interviewed was Luke Metcalf, and he was sitting out in the thing, and he said, "Yeah, I heard all of that." And I said, "Great." So he's actually been injured, and that's who the question was for. So I said, well, the question was actually for you, but what I might do now is just ask you how the game went on the weekend. And so he sat there, and I was like, "Luke Metcalf, you played on the weekend, 3 tries. How did that feel, mate?" He went along with it. He was like, "Mate, felt great to get the 3 tries. Obviously disappointed that we didn't win, blah, blah, blah." So we made a bit of a joke about it, but that didn't stop me from waking up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m.
But he didn't get to interview Big Mitch, because I'd love to know how you turn around from State of O with a compulsory celebration to then get up for the Warriors.
Well, he looked buggered.
Yeah,
but he played well. I'm just glad I didn't say that to Mitch, because I interviewed him last year, and he might be the scariest man I've ever interviewed. It's part of his sense of humor. It's just deadpan delivery, which is funny when you're just a normal guy. But when you are like who we'd send out if the aliens invaded, it's a completely different thing. It's way scarier.
Have you ever interviewed Rocco Berry?
No, I haven't.
He's a huge fan of the single word answer. Huge fan of it.
Oh, right. The straight bat.
Comes across like a nice guy, but he's a yes, no, kind of guy.
Well, he was who I asked them all, you're going over to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
As you guys get off the plane, who's the one player that the coaches pull aside and say, "Hey, keep a lid on it this weekend"? And pretty much all 3 of them were like, "Oh, Rocco Berry." So that's available on the Mad Monday podcast. Go and listen to myself absolutely humiliate myself. And we also have a flyaway trip to watch the Warriors, all thanks to Hallensteins. If you want to win that VIP Warriors experience, tickets, cash, money, food for beverages, plus food for beverages, money for food and beverages, plus vouchers to be kitted out by the legends at Hallensteins. Text VIP to 3236. You could be the VIP at the Warriors thanks to the ACC and Hallensteins brothers. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, Matt, some administration this morning. I feel like this is a good PSA to dish out on this podcast. The Olympics start this weekend.
Amazing.
No.
The Olympics always does this to me. It's not going to start. It's miles away. Then, boom, it's starting, and early.
And it's stupid o'clock in the morning. So the opening ceremony is at 6:30 a.m. this Saturday, which, let's be honest, you're not going to get up to watch. We'll all watch the replay later on down the track. But our sevens and our football teams are in action early, both men's and women's. They start on Thursday. I actually think it's Thursday morning, 2:30, which actually, in my mind, is Wednesday night. They traditionally start a couple of days ahead of the opening ceremony because the tournaments take so fucking long to get through. I'm not entirely sure what the rules are around the football. It's like you've got to be under 23, but then 4 years can be 30, or
Yeah, right.
I don't know, something confusing about that. But then, men's and women's sevens go early. I'm pretty excited about this. Hamish Kerr had a good win earlier this week, the high jumper. I think the guy who won gold last year, one of the two guys that won gold last Olympics, was out of that one, so... I don't know how much to read into that, but great prep going into that one. Have you seen the spray-on shoes that they're bringing in?
I have not.
Oh, so what they've done is this new shoe company has come out and they've invented a way where they can 3D print a shoe, basically. And so they do it on the day that you're racing. They take a mold of your foot, then they've got a robotic arm that swings around and sprays shit all over the mold. Then you take that off, put it on your foot. It's basically
Wow.
a single-use shoe.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the front runners for the marathon, she just recently won the Boston Marathon wearing these shoes.
Wow.
So it's like only a matter of time before they just spray your whole shit onto you.
So they're just perfect for that day, perfect for that time. Because wow. That's
and
incredible.
the guy got the idea from, he went to a Halloween party and someone was setting up and they were spraying like fake spider webs all over the place.
Yeah.
And he looked at that and he was just like, fuck, can you make shoes out of that?
Yeah. Well, imagine it would feel amazing because, when you get a new set of running shoes, you'll run until whatever stupid foam that they've invented now that apparently is going to make everything fine. You'll never get an injury, but only lasts a very short amount of time before it beads.
Yeah.
But when you first put that running shoes on, when you go to the athlete's foot or whatever the other one's called, boy, those shoes feel freaking great the first time you put them on. So I guess that would be part of it. It would just be this shoe feels amazing. It'd be great for your confidence.
100 grams lighter than any of the other shoes.
That's going to make a difference over a marathon.
Over 42 kilometres, yeah. What's going to happen, though, is this is what always happens with this kind of stuff. The average punter is going to pick those shoes up because it's us that find running so fucking hard. So we're going to be like, oh, well, look, if I can take any shortcut here, give me the old spray-on shoes. And it's like, it's never going to make the same impact on you as it is on them. I have a sneaky suspicion that this is going to be one of those things that they bin in like a couple of years.
Yeah, like those swimming suits.
The shark suits.
The shark suits, they're like, this is making people too good.
Yeah.
Which is odd because, I mean, you could just make everyone wear trunks because the Speedo arguably is an advantage rather than the kind of trunks I wear to the pool.
Well, I mean, I would argue that we should all go back to the original Olympics where everyone was naked.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that would be the true test of who's the fastest.
Huge advantage. Oh, it's interesting, because there's some sports where you don't want your balls flapping around, right? I mean, what sports do you
rugby sevens.
Yeah,
that'd be one of them.
Yeah.
Football.
Yep.
Probably don't want to play football barefoot.
Yeah.
There'd be issues around, discus and shot put.
Yeah.
And bare feet.
Greco-Roman wrestling, some of those moves aren't great if both dudes are nude.
Yeah. Problematical.
Well, I'm not saying they're not great, but I'm saying they're very different. It's a very different sport.
That's right.
But they were wrestling in the nude in the original Olympics.
Well, that's right.
But you could easily... I mean, I'd be concerned around maybe you see someone in the crowd or something. Next thing you know, you're signaling your interest. Well, just mildly. Like, it wouldn't be like a full situation. It'd be enough for people to know.
A half.
Yeah, there's a half. Actually, you'd be looking for that, wouldn't you?
I mean,
you'd be looking around for someone to get you half interested, just to.
Oh, if you were wrestling.
Yeah, I know. Just I mean, in any sport, if you're nude,
but particularly
just so it's looking, the whole thing's looking a little bit better, because like they don't know if it's a half or that's full resting state. If you know what I mean.
I do. I feel like we're about to get cancelled, so I'm going to steer us away from the rest of this conversation. We're going to take one more quick break. We have about 10 different yours pleases to get through.
Okay.
So we're going to take a quick break here. Just before we do, the Snacky Changy Sports Scholarship is available where binge watching sport is a sport. If you want to win that, you can text CHIP to 3236. You follow the link, we text you back, and you could be in to win the ultimate ACC prize pack. All thanks to Snacky Changy. Quick ad. We'll be back with yours please.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
Heaps to get through. I was actually staggered at the amount that were in the inbox this morning. This is one of the better parts of the show. Call it yours, please.
Yeah, g'day fellas, Stacey Cones here. Just wondering if you guys have any judiciary system put in place for the commentators, because fuck me, Keezy needs to be put on report and suspended. That guy is a walking, talking commentator's curse, and I've had enough of it. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to the can cone guy. Cheers. Fuck the Chathams.
Good set of lungs on that guy.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, so Keezy's, I was talking to the Notorious Pants man, Joel Harrison, and he's thinking about running through a commentator's stats
Oh, yeah?
on the Warriors.
Yep.
Because,
What are some of the categories?
well, no, just stats in terms of games commentated
Oh,
to wins.
I did this probably two...
Fantasy commentator would be quite good if you have stats on them.
There was a half-baked sports idea we had a few months ago, was ACC fantasy commentary. We need someone to put the spreadsheet together, but it would be like jokes landed versus jokes missed, maybe like a joke percentage, liners read, different...
Jokes repeated.
Jokes repeated, commentators' curses obviously would be a big one. And Keezy, did you see the video? He had an all-timer on the weekend. He said... that last kick where Chanel Harris-Tavita's right in front of him.
I heard that, yeah.
And he goes, even Chanel Harris-Tavita couldn't miss this one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did hear that.
You can hear the whole room go silent because no one says anything.
But it was ridiculous that he would miss that. Like, I might have had a brain curse in that because I was like, okay, put that in the bank. All right, so you're already moving on
Yeah.
in your mind to we're all tied up here now. What are we going to do?
Yeah, well, me too, because I selfishly had a bet on a successful field goal in the game. So
Right.
I was like, this is definitely going to Golden Boy. But I think if he hadn't have missed, I think he missed 2 kicks before that.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Is in his head.
It was massively in his head. He had the yips. I mean, we scored 4 tries.
I know.
And
lost.
converted 1 with Adam Pompey that he converted and then couldn't kick anymore. So
Yeah.
So it's pretty harsh on Chanel.
It's pretty harsh on Chanel, and I think that's why so many people have latched on to giving Keezy shit for the commentator's curse, because we need somewhere to put the blame.
Yeah. But I was actually talking about a wider thing, and the Notorious Pants man actually, I guess we're backstabbing is what we were saying. What I'm saying here is, but he was saying that the Pants man's never commentated a game that the Warriors have lost. But so he's sniffing around some stats because he reckons Keezy's got a terrible record.
He does. Before Friday, Chris and I had commentated 7 games together, and I had commentated 7 games, and the Warriors had lost 6 of the 7 I had commentated.
Oh, right.
And the one that I'd commentated that we won, I commentated with Hurley.
Right.
So Chris and I this year, calendar season 2024, have not commentated a Warriors win.
Yeah, but has Keezy commentated a Warriors win?
I feel like him and Di might have done 1 or 2. Someone out there needs to crunch numbers on this.
Yeah, that's
this is important stuff from Joel Harrison.
So I think we need to pull Notorious Pants man Joel Harrison off all his social media responsibilities at Radio Hauraki just to get to the bottom of this.
And have him commentate. If it's true that he hasn't commentated a Warriors loss, he should commentate every game for the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
And I should get my weekends back. Selfishly. But yeah, they're right. There was so much coming through on the text machine, just being like, fuck, not these guys again. We always lose when these two commentate.
It's so funny how we believe in witchcraft when it comes to sport. Nowhere else in our life. And if someone comes up to you and says, you're talking to someone and say, oh, I don't get along with that person because they're, in Aries or something, you go, you are a crazy, spiritual, airy-fairy, woo-woo person. Next thing you know, if you do, the other day, like 2 of my friends that I always watch the Warriors with, Matt Gibb and Cass Donaldson, they said they rented scooters, like Lime scooters, to come down from K Road to meet me to watch the game.
Yeah.
And they were calling themselves the Scooter Gang, the Scooter Boys.
Yeah.
And as soon as the game was over, I said, you guys fucked it with your scooters.
Scooter
and I
Boys
believed
done.
it.
Yeah.
I believed it. They're scootering down. Somehow.
I believe it. Quite frankly, it was fucking reckless that they did that.
It was fucking stupid to be scootering down.
And I've always thought that
together.
Sports are basically, like you say, they're astrology for dudes. Nothing can impact your mood more than your sports team losing.
Yeah, you're just searching around. That's why they burnt witches, Crops failed. You're searching around for someone to blame. Next thing you know, Sharon from down the road's on fire and strapped to a,
Keezy.
Or Keezy is, yeah.
I think we dunk him. I think we submerge him.
If he floats, then he was a witch and we burn him.
Yep.
If he sinks, then
And he wasn't a witch, but
unfortunately, he's gone now, and but at least we don't have a witch around anymore.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Another caller here, yours, please.
G'day, fellas. Loving this reinventing the world, reinventing the game chat. Isn't rugby with a round ball? Is that not what the Irish Gaelic Aussie rules type game is? Anyway, on that chat, you guys should do some reinventing Olympic sports. You see what you guys can come up with, that sort of jazz. And anyway, fuck Chris Key. Meanwhile.
Yeah, so this is off the back of a voicemail that we had the other day where someone was talking at the pub, what impact would replacing a rugby ball with a soccer ball have on the game of rugby union?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it'd make kicking easier or harder, like goal kicking.
I think passing would be harder.
Passing would be much harder.
Passing and catching would be much harder.
Chip and chase would be way easier.
Scrums would be easier. Just put a bit of English on that and it would roll right out.
Yeah.
Bounce of the ball, you're never going to get that crazy bounce. The ball just sits up for the...
That's right, yeah.
You know, the man coming through.
Your grubbers will be pinpoint absolutely every time. But yeah, I think the passing would be harder. But I like the idea. How could you make Olympic sports a little bit different? One of my favourite things I remember from athletics day at high school, there was a dude whose party trick was he'd go and pick up the lightest shot put while no one was looking. He's a massive dude. They called him Landfill. That was his nickname. And he would step up and just hiff this thing and like break the school record. Everyone would go crazy. And then someone would pick the ball up and be like, oh, you've bloody... And it just got me every year I watched him do it. I was like, this is excellent. So I think if, that kind of thing. I've, Julia Ratliff, she's our hammer thrower. I've wanted to challenge her to a competition where I want to see if I can throw the hammer further than she can throw a lime scooter.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
I think that would be quite a fair competition.
I mean, what if they just went back to hammers and actually threw hammers, like head down to Bunnings and get a hammer and throw that?
Is that what it was originally?
I've got no idea, but it doesn't look anything like a hammer now.
No.
It's more of a mace.
Yeah, it is, a flail.
Yeah, it's not a hammer, you know?
So do we bring back the hammer? we did talk about Olympic wrestling back in the Nud again.
Yep.
Why did we stop at equestrian being just horses? I suppose because they're equine. But why couldn't,
a zebra?
A bear.
Or a bear.
And in the dressage on the back of a Kodak bear?
What about if you allow people in the high jump to use the pole from the pole vaulting?
Well, I guess that's just pole vaulting then.
Yeah, I guess that's why they haven't done that. See, someone turned up with a pole one day and they go, okay, smart, we're going to have to make a whole new sport for you.
You're on your own thing.
You're doing your own thing here. This is totally different. The Frosby flop was amazing. Frosby just turning up one year with a thing that was so different that he won that year. He wasn't great, but he won that year because no one else was doing it. Next year, he couldn't, he couldn't get arrested in the high jump. But I mean, that's freaking crazy. Like everyone's doing the scissor.
Yeah.
And some guy goes, you know what? I'm going to go over backwards, which seems fucking stupid thing to do.
True game changer.
But it was an absolute game changer.
The Fosbury flop of, whatever your sport is would be.
Yeah.
What was the lift they used to do in the netball? Remember they banned that real quick?
Yeah, I like that lift. What about in the Kiwis games and like a backboard on the back of the netty?
Oh, I've said this for the longest time. They should lower the hoop by a foot and allow dunks in netball.
Yeah. Yeah, why wouldn't you?
That would change the complexion of the game.
Yeah. God, it would change everything.
It would change everything.
I mean, you said basketball without bouncing. That's basically what you do. So it'd be quite quick down the court, and then but you've got a backboard and a
Well, here's one for you: one-on-one netball. How would that change the complexion of that sport? If that's triggered any changes that you'd like to see in the Olympics, then make sure that you get in touch with us on the voicemail. We'll move on to another one here. Caller, yours, please.
G'day, lads. Got a wee bit of inside oil on the All Black Rugby Championship squad. Still down a couple of locks at the moment. I'm hearing from a couple of good inside sources that Manaia Stewart is going to be called up for the Rugby Championship. Big lock, he can do the job, not just on but off the field, great for the culture. So yeah, interested to hear you guys' thoughts. Cheers. Fuck South Canterbury.
Yeah, very confusing voicemail. in one breath putting my name forward for the black jersey and in the other cursing my home province. It may shock you to know I'm a little bit shorter than you probably think I am. A doctor once measured me at 6 foot, and I've never been measured again since. So thanks, mate. That'll do us. That'll do us, I reckon. It would probably also shock you even more to find out that I played wing when I played rugby.
Oh, well.
It's probably about 15 kilos ago, to be fair. I think.
Yeah,
I
don't know if that's the solution. I remember when we were talking to Richie Mwanga down in Dunedin, and we said, "Could you go on the field now and play?" And he goes, "Shit, no! Like so much prep. I'm so out of shape. I can't just get on the field. Whatever my skills are. This isn't how he answered this.
No,
but his point was, you can't just be on a holiday and then suddenly go on the field and being incredible.
And some would argue that I've been on holiday my whole life.
So I'm all I'm saying is, I don't think you're going to be ready by the rugby championship. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but I'm just saying I don't think you've got the prep time.
August 10th. It is now July 23rd. So what I got? 3 weeks.
Yeah.
To grow a foot.
Yeah. Grow a foot.
Increase my aerobic capacity to Olympic levels.
Learn all the plays. Learn the calls.
If they weren't testing me. Even then, I don't think so. I appreciate the vote of confidence, though. Thank you very much. Another caller here. Yours, please.
G'day, fellas. Wayne Kerr here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to play a game called Moonball, which was effectively just rugby but with a Swiss ball. And, it was just cunts getting knocked the fuck out. And, it was pretty good because you'd get some pretty serious bounce. So if you had the biggest third former versus the smallest third former, that guy got a dislocated shoulder. It was, it was a good game. It was good times.
Did you ever have any sport like that at school when you were coming up?
Yeah, I feel like we invented a lot of different sports.
Yeah, we had a good one that was we called it Pain, and how it worked was we had like the sports shed. So they'd roll the door up on the sports shed. We'd go and grab a soccer ball, those shitty plastic soccer balls, and then whatever stick, bat thing that you could find. So the plastic hockey stick, those yellow cricket bats. There was one steel baseball bat that we called the Homer. It was always a rush to get the Homer. And then the rules were, it was basically soccer, but you were also allowed to hit it with the stick. So you would have one guy coming in to kick it, and then someone else coming at you with the Homer. And that's why it was called Pain.
We did one once where we sort of combined cricket with rugby. So you're allowed to tackle the batsman when they were running runs.
Oh, so they hit it and then it's bull rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, so it was really freaking hard to score a run. And also, the problem with it didn't really matter how far you hit the ball. Basically, what you wanted to get it over the boundary, you wanted a boundary because then you got your runs. Otherwise, because you may hit it, like my beautiful cover drive, that doesn't really affect the fact that the inner ring of fielders is just going to monster you.
Going to smoke you. The other thing is, the penalty for ball watching in that situation, if you've just hit a, wee late cut and you're watching it as you're running, bang, you get cleaned up. Yeah,
and also a bowl of steaming, bowl of decent delivery,
keep coming through.
Yeah, you come through and clothesline the batsman.
You've edged one down to a fine point. Yeah. The other one was
But interestingly, we did make that better. Now I remember it. We made it better somehow by, I don't know why this was better, but we replaced we were bowling with a softball as well was part of that game. I don't know why.
We the teachers took the rugby balls off us because at school we were destroying our uniforms. So we'd come back into class and we'd have it was a Catholic school, so you'd have to go into mass. Dudes are just covered in mud, jerseys ripped to bits. They took the balls off us. But this was back in the day of the Nokia 2280 cell phone, like the first generation of cell phone. That thing was an absolute brick. We would play rugby with that, and you could literally put a bomb up with this thing. The worst thing that would happen is maybe the battery would come out the back of it. But yeah, so then we'd be playing rugby. We'd be up at the hostel. We come down, play rugby for a couple of hours. Then all of a sudden the game's over because this kid's mum's ringing him, and so he's got to answer the rugby ball.
How different? How have times changed? Now we're just desperate for kids to get off their phones. Yeah, but you guys had a phone and you were using it to play sport. So hard to get kids to play sport at lunchtime now because they're just sitting on their phones.
Well, you can't kick an iPhone.
Yeah, and you can't kick an iPhone. And so it's totally flipped around now.
Yeah, I've always said that. Sorted out Steve Jobs. Another caller here. Yours, please.
Yeah, g'day fellas. Just wondering about the Geelong curse. when the Wars go to Las Vegas, obviously the curse will be in effect. Will G-Lane break the curse in Las Vegas next year? Do some grandiose Vegas thing like in The Hangover. Maybe get a Mike Tyson tattoo on his face to symbolise it. Breaking the curse. Anyway, fuck all of Canterbury.
Now, I think there's a good chance that, I don't know about breaking the curse, but I think G-Lane might be one of the few people that could potentially break Las Vegas.
What if he goes in there and he's just a curse in every aspect? I remember a Hamish and Andy bit where they went over there and they were like, right, you can't count cards. Las Vegas have shut down all these different ways to win the money. What they can't account for is luck. So we're going to try and make the luckiest person on earth to head in there and play the pokies. Well, G-Lane arguably would be the unluckiest person on earth. So could he just walk through the MGM Grand and just waft bad luck everywhere? Just bring it to its knees. If he did, they should keep him on a retainer. It's a really good point. The G-Lane curse is going to be in full effect over there in Las Vegas. If it's proven correct, because he's still not sure whether it's true or not, because we went down to Dunedin. The All Blacks
but
won.
We talked about that. It's difficult to work out. I think the whole of New Zealand is a home game for the All Blacks.
For the All Blacks, for national teams, yeah, definitely. But when he's over in Las Vegas, this is going to be proof once and for all whether the Lane curse exists or not. And I think that if the Warriors lose and Lane's in attendance in Las Vegas, he should get the Mike Tyson tattoo on his forehead.
100%. That'd be outrageous if he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've agreed on that. This next one, I think they ran out of time, so this is going to come through in two parts. Caller, yours, please.
Kia ora, fellas. First of all, I'd like to say a quick fuck you to Chris Coos and the kicking commentary Cancone curse. But cheers, Manaia, for talking over the anthem in the All Blacks game. That made it just bearable. Can you guys tell me how to multi-up horse races in the TAB app, please, so I can get in on that? And I've got a new name in Rugby League to incorporate a sponsor. Kieran the Foreskin, son of boss man Greg. Kieran 4 and 20 pies.
Yep.
Or if they'll
lost him there.
And he's back.
The Kieran 4 and 20 pies, or if they'll let you get away with it, the Kieran Foreskin 20 pies. Great pastry, but the meat's a bit chewy. And lastly, fuck Central and Northeastern Australia for that trialist first half of State of Origin, draining half my TAB account. Cheers, guys.
Tell you what, you always wonder I'm wondering where that was sent from. Is that hiding from his wife, hiding from his workmates?
Yeah.
That was very quiet. I was like, I was picturing him hiding in a cupboard in his house, recording that.
We talk about there's two different types of voicemails that we get through. There's lights on and lights off. That was a lights off. That was a lights off voicemail there.
I'd like to think that guy's wife was in bed just going, God, let me sleep.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like the Sydney Sweeney meme. He's just in the shower recording a voicemail. She's just crying in front of the mirror. Kieran 4 and 20. Yeah, we have thought of that. At that point, we'd probably have to pay Kieran a cut. And, we're on the bones of our ass as it is. So probably not. You can multi up horses from multiple races. You can actually even do same race multis. What's probably happening to him is if the odds are boosted on a certain race meet, then I don't think you can add them in. And if there's some sort of like bonus back or odds boost or anything like that, that's probably where he's going wrong. But he's right. My TAB account got cleaned out by that. Scoreless first half in State of Origin as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a curly one, that one. That's a tricky old one.
100%. All right, I think that'll do us for today. Thank you very much, Matt Heath, for a Tuesday episode of the Agenda podcast.
How good. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your week. I dare say we'll need you back on at some point this week because G-Lane's gone back into witness protection again.
All right, then. Okay, you seem busy. We'll let you go. Bye.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast, brought to you by Export Ultra. For more episodes, like and follow on iHeartradio or wherever you get your podcasts.